Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Radharani Swami Niti Namine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Jai Prataka Swami Niti Namine. Nama Acharya Padaya Nitai Kripa Pradayine Gaur Katha Dhamadaya Nagar Gram Tarine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. We welcome all of our YouTube Live listeners, our listeners over Facebook Live, and our listeners over Zoom. We welcome all of you to this day 15 of Sri Rajamandal Parikrama.
So we'd like to thank and congratulate the devotees for participating in the quiz from yesterday. We'd like to thank Mother Flavier, Saroja Mukhi Indulekha Mataji, and Satyarani Mataji for participating in the quiz. Can we have the slideshow, please? Yesterday, we completed the most enchanting and blissful forest of Sri Kamyavan. Today, we'll walk from Sri Kamyavan to Sri Barsana Dham. On the way, we'll have darshan of Kanwara village, Kadamba Khandi, Sunahara Gaon, the village of Rangadevi and Sudevi, Sakhi Giri Parvat, Uncha Gaon, Chiksauli Gram, Sankhri Khor, Barsana Dham, finally. And in Barsana Dham, we'll see Vilas Garh, Maan Garh, Daan Garh, Bhan Garh, and then 2 night stay at Sri Barsana Dham. Next slide, please. So this is how we are going from Kamyavan to Barsana. Next slide, please. On the way, Uncha Gaon, Sunahara Gaon, so many different villages are there as we're going down. Uncha Gaon is all the way at the top. Uncha, which means high. And then we reach Barsana Dham from there. Next slide, please. So as we continue walking, taking Srimati Radharani's name from blessings from Vrinda Devi from Kamyavan, we walk to Srimati Shri Radhe. Next slide, please. As you can see here, actually, before next slide, here you can see this devotee is holding Gaur Nitai on his head. So Gaur Nitai, we are actually following Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu's 84 krosha of Parikrama. Gauranga Mahaprabhu is walking, we are walking behind him. And here Gaur Nitai, both are walking. They take bath in every river. They take darshan of every deity. And they participate in the kirtan on the way. Next slide, please. So now we come to this village called Kanwara. When we start, it's very early in the morning, and these are live photographs of how devotees actually reaching Kanwara village. Would you like to know what Kanwara village is known for, and why is it this name, Kanwara? Next slide, please. Actually, it is the hermitage of Kanva Rishi. And this is the meeting place of Shakuntala and Dushyant as well. Because Kanva was the was one of the rishis in this forest in Kanwara, and he found baby Shakuntala just lying there. Next slide, please.
So this is Kanwara Gaon is also because it is said that Mother Yashoda brought Krishna here to pierce his ears. And that is why this village is also called as Kanwara. But here is the place where Shakuntala also was raised by this sage Kanva Rishi. And that's why this village is also called as Kanwara. So let us just briefly try to understand what happened with Shakuntala. You see, the pastime goes like this, that how Vishvamitra was once doing great tapasya, lot of penance, and Indra got really disturbed. You know, anyone doing penance, Indra gets disturbed. Indra thinks, oh, someone is trying to come and get my, my heavenly planet. Someone will come and take my throne. So then he called upon Menaka, the most beautiful, heavenly damsel, Apsara. And he called upon her and said, go and, distract Vishwamitra. So Menaka, she came on the instructions of Indra and she came to Vishwamitra. Next slide, please. And when she came, Vishwamitra and Menaka persuaded Vishwamitra, she broke his tapasya, and then they had a baby girl. And Menaka delivered a baby girl, but as soon as she delivered the baby girl, she's an apsara from the heavenly planets. So it is said that, this pastime comes in the Padma Purana, that how she just left the child on the banks of a river, the newborn baby, on the banks of a river, and she went back to the heavenly planets. No attachment whatsoever. So, she went back, and that's when the next morning, when Kanva Rishi, when he came to take his bath at this river, in this Kanwara village, when he came to take his bath, that's when he saw this little girl who was surrounded by, can we go back to the two previous slides? She was surrounded, you can see, she was surrounded by vultures. You can see these birds, they are actually vultures, which are called as shakuni or shakuns, basically shakuns, not shakuni, because, vultures are so cunning. That's why shakuni is called as shakuni, because they're so cunning. But shakun is what vultures are called in Hindi. And because, all these shakuns, these vultures, were surrounding and protecting this little baby from ferocious animals in the jungle. That's why when Kanva Muni found this baby, he called her Shakuntala. He named her Shakuntala. Shakun means vulture, and Tala means one who was protected by the Shakuns, by the vultures. So that is how she got this name, Shakuntala. Can we have the next slide, please? Next. So then Shakuntala, she grew up in this Kanwara village under the shelter of Kanva Rishi. Kanva Rishi started caring for her like his own daughter. And then King Dushyant, he one day came and he was attracted by the beauty of Shakuntala. And then he said that I want to marry you. And they got married in the forest in this Kanwara village itself. And then Shakuntala, actually Dushyant, he left and he said, I will come back for you. But he never came back. Shakuntala gave birth to their son, who was named as Bharath. And Bharath, when he was born, this little boy, he was, virtuous and very, very, wonderful Kshatriya, born from a glorious father like Dushyant. So he used to play around with the wild animals in the forest. He would, ride on the tigers, the lions. Next slide, please. As we see here, that how he rides along and he plays with the cubs of the lions, and you can see the ashram of Kanva Rishi, and under the shelter of Kanva Rishi till Bharath was 6 years. They stayed here, Shakuntala stayed here waiting for Dushyant to come. And when Dushyant Maharaj did not come back, Shakuntala, she took her son and she came to the kingdom of Dushyant. Next slide, please. And when she came to this place of Dushyant and she said, this is your son, and Dushyant Maharaj had to accept, because Shakuntala's words were verified that yes, this is indeed Bharath, is indeed the son of Dushyant. It was verified by a heavenly voice. It was confirmed by that this is the son of, Dushyant. Dushyant Maharaj accepted Bharath as the crown prince and made him the future king. And it is said that Bharat Varsha was named after Maharaj Bharat, the son of Dushyant and Shakuntala. So Srila Radharaman Maharaj very beautifully explains this beautiful pastime here sitting at this Kanwara village. So next slide, please. So this is Kanwara, as we said, that Mother Yashoda. Can we go back to the previous slide, please? So Kanwara village is the place where Mother Yashoda also brought Krishna to pierce his ears. It is said that there were a lot of nice, gold jewelry working people here in this particular village. That's why Mother Yashoda brought Krishna here to this village, and sitting Krishna on her lap, one of the villagers, they pierced Krishna's ear and put a gold ring over on his ear. So that's why this place is called as Kanwara, which means that the place where Krishna pierced his ears. So Jai Shri Kanwara Gaon ki Jai.
Next slide, please. So then we come to a village called Kadamba Khandi. Krishna chose this particular village for secret meetings with Srimati Radharani, as this is a secluded area, very secluded. It's not accessible from three sides, just one side you can access this Kadamba Khandi. That's why many people who go on this Vrajamandal Parikrama may just miss this Kadamba Khandi, because there's only one way to go there. Very beautiful place. Krishna performed Maharas here. He performed Jhulan Yatra also. Next slide, please. And next slide, please. So this is Jhulan spot. You can see in the middle, that is the place where Radha and Krishna performed their swing pastime, Jhulan. Next slide, please.
Here is that Kanwara.
This is Kanwara, where Krishna's ears are pierced. Next slide, please. There is a beautiful kunda here also, and there is a Kadamba tree which stands intertwined with a Tamala tree. Now, Kadamba is favorite of Krishna, and Tamal is favorite of Srimati Radharani. So this is Radha and Krishna combined.
So Tamal,
intertwined.
Yeah, they are intertwined together. And the Tamal tree you see is the darker one, and the white tree is signifying Srimati Radharani, which is the Kadamba tree. And both of them are standing here at this place called as Kadamba Khandi, and very beautiful forest, place of Rasa Leela, where Krishna performed also some Jhulan pastimes. So very, very beautiful place. So let us take the dust of this place, Kadamba Khandi, upon our heads, and where Krishna performed Rasa Leela, and let us offer our respectful obeisances to this wonderful, wonderful place of Sri Kadamba Khandi.
Next slide, please. From here, from Kadamba Khandi, we keep walking and reach this Sunahara Gaon. Sunahara means golden. This is like the golden village, Sunahara Gaon. This is actually the home of twin sisters. Next slide, please. Rangadevi and Sudevi. This is the temple of Sunahara Gaon with Rangadevi and Sudevi, with Krishna. We pay obeisances to them. Next slide, please. As you can see, they are the twin sisters. They are two of the 8 principal gopis. Rangadevi is the 7th of the Varishta gopis, meaning the elder gopis. Her complexion is actually the color of a lotus filament, and her garments are red like the java flower.
It's horseshoe, like the red hibiscus flower. That's the color of Rangadevi's dresses.
Next slide, please. And then Sudevi, this is Rangadevi and Sudevi. Sudevi is the 8th of the Varishta gopis. She's very sweet, very charming by nature. She is actually the sister of Rangadevi, as we say, and like Rangadevi, She also has a complexion of the lotus stem, and she wears the dress of the color of a red java in one sense. Sudevi, her seva is to bring water eternally. Sudevi just always remains at the side of her dear friend Srimati Radharani, arranges Radharani's hair, decorates her eyes with mascara, and massages her body, all these different things. Next slide, please. So from here, from Sunahara actually refers to Lord Brahma's fair complexion. In this village, Lord Brahma, he performed extensive austerities so he can gain darshan of Krishna's pastimes. Next slide is Sakhi Giri Parvat. This is also called Sakhi Giri Parvat because all of Srimati Radharani's intimate friends, they would play together here. Yesterday, we went to Fislan Pahari, where Krishna would play with his cowherd friends. Sakhi Giri Parvat is where Srimati Radharani would play with her intimate friends. And in fact, Krishna, all the cowherd girls, they played holy at this Shikhalini Shila or Alta Pahari. Next slide, please. This is Alta Pahari. Alta is something which Radharani wears like a red dye on her lotus feet, on the sole below her lotus feet. Her lotus feet is always red because of Alta. And so this is called Alta Pahari because this is where the red color was spilled on the rocks when they were playing Holi. Next slide, please.
And that red color, you can see it is still present. Next slide, please. Can we have the next slide? So the Brajvasis, they actually come here and they just come. You can just take off if you just touch your hand on this rock, you get red all over your fingers. So this is a very, very beautiful place. So all married Matajis, they actually take, because this is from the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani, and this is the lotus feet of Srimati, of all the Sakhis. So, married women and even Prabhus, what they do is the Prabhus, they take and they just put a little dot on their head, and the women, married Matajis, they put on their forehead, they put as, sindoor, the alta from the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani and the Sakhis. Jai Shri Alta Pahadi ki Jai.
Next slide, please. So this is where.
So right after we, cross this Alta Pahadi place, then we are stopping here at a nice big field, and we are all waiting for our breakfast prasadam while Maharaj was giving us a very beautiful katha. This is just before we are about to enter Lalita Sakhi's village, which is Uncha Gaon. So we are just about to enter, but before that we had stopped over for breakfast. So you can see this huge village, where a huge field where we are all sitting and just listening to some katha by Srila Radharaman Maharaj. Next slide, please. So here we come now to the entrance gate of Sri Uncha Gaon, Lalita Sakhi's village. Jai Sri Uncha Gaon ki jai.
This is the birthplace of Lalita Sakhi, who's called as Anuradha also. She is the foremost among the 8 gopis. Next slide, please. In fact, it is Lalita Sakhi's duty. This is the deities of Lalita Sakhi. Radha Krishna, Lalita, Vishakha.
So you can see in the top right corner, you can see Radha Krishna, and there's a small Sakhi on the left of Krishna, that or our left, on the right of Krishna, sorry. So that is Srimati Lalita Sakhi. So her temple is on a little hill, and because it's Uncha Gaon, so it has to be on a little hill. So we have to climb this nice little temple, and there's this beautiful water boat pastime behind. There's the picture you can see, and very, very beautiful temple of Srimati Lalita Sakhi.
Next slide, please. It is Lalita Devi's duty to pacify Srimati Radharani because she's feeling separation from Krishna. Lalita Sakhi comes and pacifies hers. She is very, very famous as Srimati Radharani's constant companion. As you can see, her complexion is that like the yellow pigment, Gorochana, and her garments are like peacock feathers. Now, Lalita Devi is full of ecstatic love for Sri Radha and Krishna, very, very expert in arranging the meetings of Radha Krishna, their conjugal struggles. Sometimes for Radharani's sake, she also comes for Radharani's protection and is not afraid to offend Lord Madhava. And Lord Madhava doesn't get offended as
Very
well.
well. So here in the bottom, we see the picture of Srimati Lalita Sakhi's home. So this is on the top of, just the courtyard of the temple, which is the home of Srimati Lalita Sakhi. And from here, this place, Barsana, can be seen very wonderfully. So this is the place where we take darshan of Srimati Lalita Sakhi. Next slide, please. And it is said that how just now Prabhu said that Lalita Sakhi, she doesn't mind offending Madhava, and she's extremely dear to the divine couple, and she actually happens to be elder than even Madhava. She's not only elder to Srimati Radharani, but she's also elder to Lord Krishna. So just by a few days, therefore she has the power. She's the only Sakhi who can come and nicely chastise Krishna. And when Srimati Lalita Sakhi, when she chastises Krishna, Krishna is always quiet. He just quietly listens to all her chastisement, because Madhava knows that Lalita is always chastising him, because of Srimati Radharani, out of love for Srimati Radharani. So Madhava very lovingly accepts the loving chastisement of Lalita Sakhi, as we can see here in the picture, that she is the one who is always on the right side of Madhava. That is Lalita Sakhi. Jai Srimati Lalita Sakhi ki jai.
Next slide, please. From here, from Uncha Gaon, we come to Chiksauli. Chiksauli Gaon is the birthplace of Chitra Sakhi. Chitra Sakhi, she is fourth amongst the 8 principal gopis. Next slide, please.
And the beautiful, complexion of Chitra Sakhi is said to be like saffron. She's said to be saffron colored, and like the color of kumkuma, basically. And her garments are crystal. She wears white crystal garments. And Chitra Devi, she's so expert. She can read between the lines of books, and she can tell, just by looking at a book, she can tell what just by reading a few lines, she can tell what the book is, talking about. And even letters, whenever, Srimati Radharani had to send some letters, she would be very expert at writing and penning down words. Chitra Sakhi is very, very good at that, very expert at that. And she would be very, very expert in also perceiving the hidden meaning of different statements. So she is so skilled in also the art of cooking, that without even tasting a particular food item, she can tell whether the food is perfect for Radha and Krishna or not. Just by looking at the food, she can tell whether it's okay to be offered to Sri Radha Krishna or not. This is how she is extremely expert in cooking different kinds of food made with honey, milk, and other ingredients. She is very expert, and she can tell what are the ingredients that are made, what are put into this particular food, how they made it, just by looking at them. So Chitra Sakhi is extremely, very, very expert, and she always offers, tambula. As you can see, she's having a little silver box in her hand. So she always offers pan, tambula, to the divine couple. Jai Shri Shri Chitra Sakhi ki jai. Shri Chiksauli Gram ki jai.
Next slide, please. From here, we come to a beautiful place called Sankhri Khor. Sankhri means narrow. So Sankhri Khor is a narrow path among 2 hills. These 2 hills are Vilasgarh on one side and Daan on the other side, where Krishna and the cowherd boys, they had broken earthen pots of gopis. So this is a very narrow passageway. It's called either Vilasgarh and Daan Garh, but sometimes it's also called the Brahma Hill and the Vishnu Hill. Here, Krishna and his cowherd boys, they dressed as tax collectors, Daan, and they would block the way of Radharani because it's already very so narrow pathway. If one person stands there, people cannot really go past them. And then they would ask for yogurt, butter, ghee as tax for passing through this Sankhri Khor. Next slide, please.
So it is said that when the gopis would pass by this narrow path, Krishna would either come from Vilasgarh on the mountain, and the gopis would have the stacks of pots on their heads. So he would take away one pot from their head directly without the gopis even knowing about it. So this is how Krishna would, steal the pots of yogurt, the pots of butter from the heads of the gopis. And sometimes they would fall because they would lose their balance. And it is said that if we see the mountains, the stones around Sankhri Khor, it seems as if, there is a splash of yogurt because Krishna would literally throw, the yogurt pots around. So, the yogurt would splash on the stones in this way. So when we are actually there, we can see that splash, and we couldn't really capture it on the camera. So, but here it is, Sankhri Khor. So Krishna would take a lot of, tax. He would trouble the gopis, but that was a manifestation of their loving interactions. Next slide, please. And they would, the gopis. Next slide, please. The gopis, whenever they would pass from here, Krishna would stand with a stick. He would say, if you don't want to go, if you don't want to give me, I will not let you go. So the gopis would nicely negotiate. Okay, Krishna, one pot. He would say, no, two pots, no, three pots, this pot, that. They would just keep negotiating like this. So Krishna would have very, very beautiful pastimes here at Sri Sankhri Khor at Barsana.
Next slide, please. Now we come from Sankhri Khor, we come to Sri Barsana Dham. We got blessings from Sri Rangadevi Sudevi, Chitra Sakhi, from Lalita Sakhi. And now we come to Sri Barsana Dham Ki Jai. This is the eternal playground of Sri Vrindavaneshwari, the supreme reservoir of compassion, Srimati Radharani. This is such an enchanting place that just by seeing and experiencing this divine landscape of Barsana, our hearts and minds, they're naturally transported to the realm of devotion. We know Krishna is Hari. He steals away all of our attachments and ultimately steals our heart when it becomes soft like the heart of Hari. But Radharani is Hare, and Barsana is the abode of Sri Radhika, where she performed her childhood pastimes in the courtyard of King Vishvamitra and Kirtida Sundari Devi. If you see this temple, this is at the top of the hill. It's a masterpiece. Such exquisite stonework is there, beautiful arches. When we go in there, we'll see the domes which are adorning that place, and the view from the top of that temple is so mesmerizing. There is beautiful color pictures on the walls, ceilings of the temple, which like depict the loving pastimes of Sri Radha and Krishna. And this is the one of the most important places to visit in Sri Vraja Dham. Srimati Radharani ki jai. Next slide, please. In fact, Padma Puran states that Lord Brahma has taken the form of the hills in Barsana so as to get the dust of the lotus feet of Sri Radha Krishna and their devotees on their heads. Next slide, please. As we know, there is Vilasgarh and Dangarh, in the middle is Sankhri Khor. So this Barsana Dham is surrounded by four hills: Vilasgarh, Dangarh, Mangarh, and Bhangarh. Garh means fort. So Vilas means opulence. Vilasgarh is opulent fort. Daan means charity. So Daan Garh is where they would collect tax and all of the gopis would give charity. Maan Garh. Maan means when Radharani is upset, it's with Krishna, she's said to have Maan. So this is Maan Garh. Whenever Radharani is upset, she would go to Maan Garh. And if Krishna would not find her, he would understand, oh, I was late today. So guess where Radharani would be? Maan Garh. And then Bhanagar is also another place. These are actually the peaks that represent four heads of Brahma. So from Barsana, we come to Vilasgarh. See all the four forts which are surrounding Barsana. This Vilasgarh is the temple of the peacocks. Next slide, please. It's a very, very beautiful place where beautiful pastimes of Krishna and Srimati Radharani dancing in the form of peacocks. Here in Vilasgarh is this place, Mor Kuti. Mor means peacock. The place of the peacocks. Next slide, please. Mor Kuti. Here, Radha and Krishna, they are dancing in the form of peacocks.
And Srila Radharaman Maharaj, when he brought us here, he was explaining that it is said, Maharaj said, that it is said that this painting that we see here in this place, it was apparently done by a great devotee of Srimati Radharani who was blind very recently. I mean, recently, maybe 50, 100 years ago, but, he was a blind artist and he made this beautiful painting, Maharaj said. So this is something very amazing to witness at this temple of Morputhi. Jai Shri Shri Radha Vilas Bihari ki Jai.
Next slide, please.
So here you can see Shri Shri Radha Krishna dancing beautifully as peacock and peahen. Jai Shri Shri Radha Mor Bihari ki Jai.
Next slide, please. From here, we come to Daan Garh and have darshan of the beautiful Shri Shri Radha Daan Bihari ki Jai. Here, actually, Lord Krishna, he had given some charity to a Brahmana. Gold, diamonds. How much gold, how much diamonds? Equal in weight to Srimati Radharani. So that's why this is called as Daan Garh.
So it is said that this Brahmana was very, very poor. And he was here staying in Barsana Dham, and Krishna and Srimati Radharani, they were just roaming the streets of Barsana. And this Brahmana was sitting and crying. And he said, oh, my daughter. Krishna came and said, why are you crying? Why are you crying? So then he said, oh, my daughter needs to get married. And I don't know what to do. I don't have anything to give and arrange for the wedding. So Krishna said, you're in Radharani's Dham and you're crying like this. How can you cry? Don't cry like this. This is not allowed here. You cannot cry. So then immediately Krishna manifested, the tarazu, like the weighing scale, beam balance. So he made Srimati Radharani sit on one side, and Krishna just manifested gold and all different kinds of jewelry. And then he just weighed it. And when both of them balanced each other, he gave the entire jewelry and all the riches to this Brahmana, and he wonderfully celebrated and performed his daughter's wedding. So this is why this place is called as Shri Shri Radha Dana Bihari Ji Ki Jai.
Next slide, please. We went to Vilasgarh, we went to Dangarh. Now we are coming to Mangarh, where there is Shri Shri Maan Bihari. In Dangarh, Shri Shri Radha Daan Bihari. In Mangarh, Shri Shri Radha Maan Bihari. Actually, at the top of the hill is a small, very well maintained temple called Maan Kutira. This is the place where Srimati Radharani, when she would get angry with Krishna, Maan, then she would come here to this Maan Kutir. On top of this Maan Garh is Maan Mandir. Next slide, please. Where there are Shri Shri Radha Maan Bihari, the Maan Mandir, where Srimati Radharani would go into seclusion in her transcendental loving anger towards Krishna. And then at Man Mandir, Krishna would weep and plead, next slide, and cry like a beggar to gain the favor of his beloved Srimati Radharani. Shri Shri Radha Maan Bihari ki jai. Next slide, please. Now we come, this is again Srimati Radharani displaying her man, and Lord Krishna is trying to pacify her.
And if you pinch out these pictures, you can see that Radharani is crying, but Krishna, he is also crying so much that please, Radha, stop, being angry with me. Please talk to me. Please talk to me. So, he is pacifying Srimati Radharani here. So here at Sri Maan Parvat, Maan Garh, Srimati Radharani's anger is pacified by the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Jai Srimati Radharani ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Man Bihari ki jai.
Now we come to Bhangarh. Bhangarh is the place where beautiful deities of Shri Shri Ladli Ladli Lal is there. Ladli means Krishna Priya Shama Ladli Radha. This is a very famous Vraja song where Radharani is called as Ladli. Ladli means one who is pampered very much. So she's the Ladli of Vrindavan. Everyone in Vrindavan pampers her. In fact, the whole universe. But she, who is dear to this Ladli, is Ladli Lal, is Krishna. Krishna is known as Ladli Lal. So this temple, main deity is Ladli, and Krishna is known as the dear one of Ladli, Ladli Lal. So this is Sri Sri Ladli Ladli Lal temple in Bhangarh. Here actually Maharaj Vrishabhanu, this was the palace of Maharaj Vrishabhanu. And on top of this Bhangarh is the temple of Shriji, Shriji Mandir. This deity of Shriji is also known as Ladli Lal, one who is the beloved, which was originally established by Vajranab 5,000 years ago. And at the footsteps of this Shriji temple is the palace of Vrishabhanu Maharaj, where Srimati Radharani performed her childhood pastimes. And in this temple, one can have the darshan of Vrishabhanu, Kirtida Sundari, Shri Dama, Shri Radhika, all of them. Next slide, please. So just across the road.
So we can see here that how, to climb the Barsana temple, Shri Shri Ladli Ladli Lalji temple, we have to climb so many stairs. So here we can see Ma Baba Prabhu climbing up the stairs of Shri Barsana Dham. And, it is said that Krishna, this is a saying in Hindi, so we'll translate it also, that Krishna hame tarsate hain. Krishna, he tarsate hain matlab?
He makes us wait.
he actually makes us wait. He makes us long for his mercy. So that is called tarsana. So Krishna always, keeps us waiting. He makes us long for his mercy.
Yearning for.
Yearning, correct. Yearn for his mercy. So Krishna tarsate hain. पर श्रीमती राधारानी वो उनकी कृपा बरसाती हैं क्योंकि
वो बरसाने वाली.
जय श्री राधे.
Barsati means to shower. Krishna tarsate hain means Krishna makes us yearn. And Radharani Barsati means she is showering.
Showering mercy.
Because she is from Barsana. That's why she is Barsati.
Hari Hari Bol.
Next slide, please. So this is the beautiful Shri Shri Ladli Ladli Lal Ji ki jai.
And here the deities, Srimati Radharani is so merciful that she in fact, is the fulfiller, instant fulfiller of desires. any desires that we may have, if we just present it to her, she fulfills. That is how amazingly merciful Srimati Radharani is. So please, we request all the Vaishnavas, please, everyone on the call, please pour your hearts out and call out to the mercy of Srimati Radharani so that she may shower her mercy upon us. That she is Barsane Wali Srimati Radharani ki jai. Let her shower her mercy upon us. Let us make our heartiest appeal at the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. Here she is very, very merciful because here she is with her beloved Sri Ladli Lal. So therefore, she is extremely merciful, extremely compassionate, and please let us make our heartfelt appeal to the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani, that may we continue to serve our spiritual masters and please them and be a source of increasing their glory all over the world, and be used as humble instruments in spreading the message of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu to everyone, whoever we come across with. Jai Srimati Radharani ki jai. Jai Shri Radhe.
Next slide, please. Here we come to the place which is right across the road from Shriji temple. It's a beautiful pond called Pili Pokhar. When Yashoda Mai, she applied turmeric paste to Sri Radhika's hands, accepting her as her own bride. Then Radharani came and washed her hands out of shyness in this pond. And so the color of this pond here turned yellow. And Pili means yellow, Pukur means pond. Pili Pukur is yellow pond by Srimati Radharani's turmeric hands. Next slide, please. So we can take sprinkle some water from Pili Pukur on our head, because this is from Srimati Radharani's lotus hands. Next slide, please. This is the view from the top of Shriji Mandir. As we can see behind, you can see it's so far down, and there's so many hills. We see all the 4 hills from this particular location, which are the 4 heads of none other than Lord Brahma. Next slide, please.
And here last year, when we were there, of course, we got the sindoor from Srimati Radharani at Ladli Lalji Mandir, and then the pujari also gave us bangles. So that is a picture of all the bangles and the sindoor from there, from Srimati Radharani. And if you see on the left-hand side, that is an outfit that was worn by Sri Ladli ji. So the pujari was so kind that when he saw us, he just so kindly he gave us this, the top piece, the blouse of Srimati Radharani. So we are very, very fortunate to receive this beautiful Mahaprasad, from Sri Ladli ji. And, it is said that when Pratap Rudra Maharaj, when he got a piece of cloth from Lord Chaitanya, he considered his life to be a success. So this piece of cloth from Srimati Radharani really made our life successful. She has, when the cloth comes, when it is any Mahaprasad from the deities, is said to be non-different from the deities themselves. So this Pujari was so kind that he gave us an outfit of Srimati Radharani, the top piece of the cloth of Srimati Radharani's blouse. And it's so beautiful. It's so small. It's very tiny. It's exactly what she's worn. And when he gave to us, he said that Ladli ji ne ye bahut baar pehna hai. So he said that Ladli ji wore this many, many, many times, and he gave this to us. So very, very kind and merciful Srimati Radharani ki jai.
Next slide, please. So this is how we have arrived at Sri Barsana Dham from Kamyavan. This is the route that we took. Next slide, please. And we started all the way from Vrindavan. And now from Vrindavan, we went to Govardhan Parvat to Kamyavan, Badrinath, Kedarnath, Kamyavan, and finally to Sri Barsana Dham. We'll continue again tomorrow. Wish you all a very, very happy Krishna conscious, Rama conscious Diwali, Deepavali today.
So,
For India. For us, it'll be tomorrow.
tomorrow. So, in honor of Deepavali, we will be staying one night at Barsana. So, tonight and tomorrow night, we will be in Barsana. So, tomorrow, we will be sharing a very wonderful Leela that happened during that day of Deepavali.
Can we go to the next slide, please? And so we have completed the Kamyavan to Barsana Dham Yatra today. And thank you very much. We can end the slideshow here. We'll sing some kirtan and some announcements.
Haribo.
People.
So, because we are in the place of Srimati Radharani, we will do some sweet Sri Radhika bhajans and kirtans.
Shri Radhe Gopal Bhaj Man Shri Radhe
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 Shri Radhe Jaya Jaya Radhe
Shri Radhe Jaya Radhe
Shri Radhe Jaya Jaya Radhe
Shri Radhe Jaya Radhe
Shri Radhe Gopal Bhaj Man Shri Radhe
Shri Radhe Gopal Bhaj Man Shri Radhe
Shri Radhe Gopal Bhaj Man Shri Radhe Shri Radhe Jaya Jaya 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 Radhe Shri Radhe Gopal Bhaj Man Shri Radhe Bhaj Man Radhe Govinda Bhaj Man Radhe Govinda Bhaj Man Radhe 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 Govinda Bhaj Man Radhe 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 Govinda Bhaj Man Krishna Kariya Bhaj Man Krishna Kariya Bhaj Man Krishna 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 Kariya Bhaj Man Radhe Govinda Radhe, Radhe Radhe Govinda Radhe. Hey! Jai Radhe Radhe Govinda Radhe, Radhe Radhe Govinda Radhe. Radhe Govinda Radhe, Radhe Radhe Govinda Radhe. Hey! Radhe Jai Shri Shri Radha Govind ki,
Jai.
Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki,
Jai.
Shri Shri Radha Gopinath ji ki,
Jai.
Srimati Radharani ki,
Jai.
बरसाने वाली की,
Jai.
श्रील प्रभुपाद की
Jai.
जय, श्री गुरुदेव की जय.
Jai. Hari Bol.
Thank you very much for participating enthusiastically in this kirtan today. So today's quiz, time for today's quiz questions. First, how did Kanwara village get its name? Second, what is the name of the village of Rangadevi and Sudevi Sakhis?
Third, what is the significance of Alta Pahadi? Fifth, what is the name of Lalita Sakhi's village? What is she also known as?
Sixth, in what ways does Chitra Sakhi serve Sri Sri Radha Krishna? What is the name of her village?
Seventh, name the hills on either side of Sankhri Khor. What pastime was performed there?
Eighth, name the four peaks of Barsana and whose heads do they represent?
Ninth, what is the significance of Morkuti? Name the peak on which it is located.
10th, where would the Maan pastimes of Sri Sri Radha Krishna take place?
11th, where is the palace of Vrishabhanu Maharaj located and what are the names of the deities?
12th, how did Pili Pukur manifest?
Hari Bol.
So we can open the line for questions now. Thank you very much.
Whoever would like to go first, please.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Kirti.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru and Gauranga. I really like today's session. I don't have any questions today, but I have some comments to make. So,
Okay.
I like the Sankhri Khor place, the Kadamba Khandi place, Barsana place, and Ladli Lal place. And Bhan and Vilas so I really like today's session, Mataji Prabhuji. Thank you so much for an amazing session. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Beta. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna, Hari Bol. Anjali?
राधे।
Jai Jai Shri Radhe.
आज तो आपके गांव चले गए प्रभु जी। So you must have just like so wonderful. आप भी ललिता देवी के गांव से ही हैं।
Yes.
तो ये है ना, इसलिए इतनी आपके ऊपर है ना राधा रानी की और कृष्ण जी की इतनी कृपा है कि बस इतनी वो कहते हैं ना कि सच्चे दिल से जो भी रहता है तो भगवान भी बस अपना है ना रास्ता दिखाते चले जाते हैं। Really, you both are totally blessed. Like, I just keep on talking full day about you, Now everyone around me is just, they know you,
Everybody.
Everybody, they just know you, so beautifully. And wish you both, आज हम लोग के यहाँ इंडिया में आज दीपावली है।
Happy
Happy
Deepavali.
Diwali.
So
Happy
wish you very, very, very happy, healthy, and prosperous. And बस कृष्णा हमको है ना और आगे बढ़ाता रहे, बस यही प्रार्थना है ये दीपावली पे.
Jai.
And I just wanted to ask one small today. And the question was actually जब ये हम जब से सारे जो एक गांव किए थे अभी हम सारी सखियों के एंड सब के हम जब गांव करे थे तो इसमें like you know once I remember one pastime also of I think so I have heard from you in when we were doing Bhagavatam कि Sri Radharani was one with one Sakhi. She was some pastime was there which I'm not recollecting the Sakhi's name, which she tells Krishna also, like you know she never used to like her. I don't know, so maybe I'm wrong. I'm not really recollecting.
Continue.
Yeah, so she it was like there was a one pastime where you know you were just telling about that moon thing, and then she said, how can you compare me with this moon? And yes, and because of this yes, so I just wanted to know her name, you know.
Chandravali.
Chandravali. Okay.
She is the rival of Sri Radharani.
Yeah, so I was just trying to recollect, you know,
Chandravali. So
because
that is
that
why
Sakhi
she actually became angry one time. Radharani gets angry and upset because you know that's a special deal of their Leela, that when they show anger, and especially Srimati Radharani, she shows anger so that Krishna would get a chance to pacify her, you know, and their Leela and their love increases by that. So Srimati Radharani, you know, Krishna would give her many excuses that she would actually get angry at him. So one time she was compared. Krishna, when she came, she was looking so beautiful. She was dressed up so beautifully that Krishna compared her to the moon. That, oh Radhe, today you're looking like the moon. And Radharani got so angry. He said, how dare you compare me to the moon? You know.
Yeah, that story I remember very well. I was just trying to recollect the name of Chandravali. Now I remember with Chandra, you know, Chandravali.
Yes.
Thank you
We'll tell
so
a
much.
very interesting fact about Chandravali Sakhi. When we go towards the last days, when we go to, I think it's the second or the third last day, when we go to Raval, on our way to Raval, the birthplace of Srimati Radharani, there's a very beautiful Leela that happened there. And how sweetly our devotees take us into Parikrama over there. We'll reveal it at that time. It's in
Okay, sure.
Chandravali.
Okay, fine. Jai Shri Radhe, Hare
Jai
Krishna.
Shri Radhe. Happy Diwali. Happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali. Thank you.
Ready, Ma?
Yes, Garima.
Hare Krishna Mataji Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Now, I like the class because, you know, I'm telling you the truth that I love Barsana of the whole Vrindavan. I love Barsana a lot. And we went to Barsana actually. We went to the birth of Radharani, the place, and we went to the temple, and on the top I could see almost whole Barsana.
Yes, it's a beautiful view, isn't it? So
yes, and then I saw on Facebook all the devotees were dancing on that top.
Yes.
I like this. Okay, Krishna, you want to see? Krishna, say Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Wonderful. Thank you, beta. Hari Bol, Krishna.
Follow on my head, Hare Krishna. No, you know, now you were saying that Radharani is shy of Balaram, so why is she like shy?
In front of Balaram?
Yeah, like.
Because that is the etiquette. She's shy in the sense she does not. She is out of respect for Krishna's elder brother, for Balaram. She's not very free. She's very reserved in front. Shy in terms of reserve. She's shy in front of Krishna as well, but that's for a different reason, because she loves Krishna as her lover. But with Balaramji, she's shy out of respect. She's reserved in front of him to show him respect.
Yeah,
And
but
Balaram also respects Srimati Radharani so much. So there's a mutual respect that's there.
yeah, yeah, I understand. And Balaram comes in form of Ananga Manjari.
Mhm.
So Balaram is same as her. So Radharani should be also shy of her, right?
No, because Radharani is shy in front of Balaram, so Balaram therefore takes the form of Ananga Manjari. Because Ananga Manjari has a female form and her mood is different, so Radharani is not shy in front of Ananga Manjari.
And she's Radharani's own sister. She's actually Radharani's own sister. Maharaj Vrishabhanu has 3 children. First is Srimati Radharani, then Ananga Manjari, and the youngest is Sri Dham, their brother. So 3
Sri
children.
Dham is Krishna.
Friend. Sri Dham is Krishna's friend, but he is the brother of Srimati Radharani, who looks just like Srimati Radharani.
So that's Krishna's cousin?
Who's Krishna's cousin?
Sri Dham?
No. Why would he be Krishna's cousin? He's Krishna's friend.
Radharani is not Krishna's sister. She is his lover.
Beloved. She is the beloved of Krishna.
Okay. Now I drew Radha Krishna standing on the banks of Yamuna.
Okay, let's see. Oh wow.
Yeah. Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihar.
Jai Shri Radhe. Thank you, beta.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Vrinda Gopika Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण माता जी प्रभु जी कोटि कोटि दंडवत प्रणाम सिल प्रभात सिल गुरुदेव की जय श्री पीली पुकार धाम की जय श्री बलसाना धाम की जय श्री लाडली जो की जय श्री श्याम सुंदर की जय माता जी so happy to see Shri Balsana Dham Mata ji. We offer 4 lines to you on behalf of all Vaishnava. राधे में शिल प्रभुपाद शिल गुरुदेव की जय श्री श्री राधा गोपीनाथ की जय राधे में री स्वामिनी में राधे को दास में राधे को दास जन्म जन्म से दीजियो मोहे श्री वृंदावन धाम श्री वृंदावन धाम जन्म जन्म से दीजियो हमें श्री वृंदावन धाम श्री वृंदावन धाम राधे तो बड़ी भागिनी कोनो तपस्या की तीनों लोक के नाथ है राधे के स्वामी राधे में री स्वामिनी में राधे को दास में Radhe ko das. And you sing such a nice 1 second only. Radhe 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 Govinda Radhe. Hey Radhe 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 Radhe. राधे 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 गोविंद राधे गोपाल राधे। श्री राधा गोपीनाथ की जय, शिल प्रभुपाद की जय, शिल गुरुदेव की जय। माता जी, I cannot copy your tune. प्रभु जी is exactly ब्रिजवासी। कोटि कोटि दंडवत प्रणाम। शिल प्रभुपाद, शिल गुरुदेव की जय। Please bless us that next year we also follow आपके पल्लू पकड़ के हम 84 कोश धाम में, श्री धाम वृंदावन धाम में भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की मर्जी से आ पाए। माता जी हरि हरि गौरांगा।
Thank you, Mataji.
One question from Shamala Gopika Mataji. Is it Varsana Wali or Barsana Wali? In any specific meaning? It's actually Varshana, but in Sanskrit it may be called Varshana, but in Bangla as well as in Raj Bhasha, it becomes Barsana. Instead of Varshana, it becomes Barsana. Even Vrindavan, people call Vrindaban. It's just the colloquial language. And but Varshana means Varsha. Varsha means shower or rain. Rain of mercy is what this Barsana means.
Radharani, she's raining her mercy. She's pouring down her mercy because she's Barsane Wali. She's pouring down the mercy of Krishna. And Krishna is making us yearn. Krishna tarsate hain, Radharani barsati hain. That's why she's Barsane Wali. Any other questions?
Okay, if not, we can end here. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Happy Deepavali, Pataji Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavат Pranam, Happy Diwali.
Hare Krishna
Happy
Mataji,
Diwali.
thank you.
Thank you.